Good morning. So, as you can see, I had a pretty interesting experience a couple of days ago. So, Christy gives us tickets. She bought tickets for the two of us to go see Amy Ray, who is half of the Indigo Girls. I first learned about the Indigo Girls from Joanne Hull, who was my youth pastor at Guilford Park Presbyterian Church in Greensboro, North Carolina, back in I don't know, 87 or so. We listened to a cassette tape of them, their first major label album, on the way to Montreat youth conferences. And so, anyway, I've been a big fan for a long time. Christy and I have seen them in concert maybe about 6 times together in Richmond and Florida and Charlotte and here, I think. And then Christy has also seen them at least once without me. But anyway, the opportunity to go see Amy looked great, and we don't own any of her albums. Now we do, but what I listened to, I liked, and so was excited to go. And we went, and we have this place in town called the Walton Arts Center, and it has a big stage, but it also has a very small stage. It's called the Black Box Theater, and they do a series there called West Street Live. And my friend Jennifer, who works there and is, I think, in charge of booking acts for, or at least some of the acts, if not all of them, for the Walton Arts Center, told me that it seats 210. And there were maybe 5 or 10 empty seats in the place, which is ridiculous, but nonetheless, so there were about 200 people there, I think. And her musicians were fantastic. Oh my gosh, the guitar player was just sublime. Very talented, tasteful. Played a variety of styles: dobro, mandolin, and this acoustic. He had a nice Martin, which I got to play, which was great, and of course the Telecaster, which he just and then the bass player, also very talented, also from Charlotte, North Carolina. And so, yeah, really good. I think the sound could have been mixed a little better, honestly, but it was a great show. Amy was interacting with the crowd a lot, telling stories and just being very real, very human, which was, it's nice. So during part of her, I guess during their second set, she said, "Hey, does anybody want to come up and play a song?" And I, of course, said, "Yes, please." And she's like, "Okay." And maybe she expected someone to come up like at that moment, but I was like making sure she was like wasn't just kind of kidding. And she started getting ready to play the next song. She's like, "Well, come on up, and after this song, you can play." And I was like, "Okay." Now, at that moment, my heart rate probably doubled. Probably, I was at great risk for stroke. I had Christy put her fingers on my neck, and you could definitely feel it. It was very intense. I mean, I've played before for people for a long time. But this was something a little different, obviously. And so then I was racing. Okay, well, if I'm going to play a song, what do I want to play? And so I pulled out my phone and I pulled up the lyrics to a song I wrote a while back just to refresh my mind, because every once in a while I'll get up and play one of my songs and won't remember all the words or get them out of order or whatever. So the song I chose to play was called Other Sun. Other Sun was a song that I wrote when I was at essentially Union Seminary in the Presbyterian School of Christian Education. A woman who went to undergrad with my father and her husband went to seminary with my father at Union. Her husband had passed, and she had felt a call to ministry. So she was finishing up at Union when Christy and I were starting there. And so she led a chapel service. We had chapel, I think, every day. And it was on the prodigal son, but looking at it from some different perspectives. And so that inspired me to write this song about the brother that stayed home. And, you know, in the scripture it says he goes off angry or upset, but we don't know what happened afterwards. And so this is my take on it. And, you know, so it's semi-scriptural, but it's not entirely. It uses some imagination, which, you know, is okay. As long as you're not taking my song as scripture, then, you know, great. So I went down. I was at the side of the stage, and she was looking out for me because, you know, the lights are on you, you can't really see, and people started pointing, saying I was on the side of the stage. So she's like, "Come on up." And she was very sincere and very gracious and inviting. And during that song that she played before I came up, she broke a string. So it was fortuitous in a lot of ways. I was kind of hoping to be able to, you know, play with her, that she would play along with or whatever. But I was like, "Well, I thought you were going to play with me." She said, "Well, I got to change the string, but the band will play with you." I said, "Okay." And so she went, and you can watch on the video, and you can see she goes and sits on the side of the stage and changes her own string. And then the band's like, "What key is it?" And I said, "It's in the key of E." And we went off to the races. It wasn't the best start. Obviously, I was a little nervous, as one should be. But I think it came together really, really nicely. And listening to Jeff and Kelly, who are the other musicians, add their little bits, was just wonderful, glorious experience. You know, I felt I had good response from the audience, and you know, it's asking a lot of them. They paid a decent amount of money to come and see this artist, and they get stuck with little old me. But nobody threw anything, so that's, you know, that's a sign of a good gig for me. So we were kind of hoping she would come out after the show. Oh, I mean afterwards. Sorry, I finished the song. She comes up and she's very gracious and very genuine, and says, "Hey, that was great," or "Thanks so much." And I shared a story about when we had gone to see her at Guilford College somewhere in the mid-aughts, and they did. It was Indigo Girls, and then they also had some activists and things with them talking about, you know, some social justice issues, which is a very Indigo Girls kind of thing to do. And they had a Q&A session, and so I got up, as I am wont to do, and said, "Hey, you know, I first learned about y'all, you know, I guess it would have been 25 years ago or so at that time." I'm not going to do the math on that, but anyway, and that my youth minister introduced, you know, me to y'all, and Amy was like, "Thanks for making me feel old." It was very funny. And then I went up to the stage afterwards and exchanged a pick, because their roadies were cleaning up, and they had extra picks, and so I had a pick in my pocket. So I said, "Well, you know, I don't want to just take something." It's like, "Here, give this pick to her." I don't think that particular pick that I had any kind of significance. It was probably one that I enjoyed using at the time. I changed picks from pretty great frequency. Anyway, and she gave me one of their picks, and it was, you know, had Indigo Girls on it, whatever. And so I stuck it in my pocket, and it was great. And I made the mistake of taking it with me to work. I was working at Guitar Center at the time, and I, without thinking, let somebody use it to demo a guitar, and it went off into the ether. Who knows? So, but at least it passed through my hands at one point. So it was a great experience. So I was hoping that Amy would come out afterwards. They often do that. You know, they wait for just kind of most people to leave, and then they come out for the diehard fans at the end sometimes. But they didn't for whatever reason, but my friend Jennifer, um, who works there, took the CDs that I bought. Yes, I just turned the light on. Took the CDs that I bought and a T-shirt, which she, I guess, got donated to us or something, and went and had Amy sign them, which was really great and really cool. And so this is the T-shirt. And I don't know if it's reading backwards or not, but it basically says "Keep Rockin'." And she drew a little guitar with a peace sign on it. It was really cool. But a great experience. And, I don't ever have any illusions that I'll ever be famous in any way, shape, or form. But it's nice to have those kinds of experiences every once in a while. And I apologize. I think I've already said that. Anyway, so thanks for listening to me ramble about this experience, and maybe we'll write some more songs and put them out for you. So stay tuned.